Welcome, everyone, to Marty's Moment. This is our opportunity to get to know some of our members better. The lunch meetings are so busy that we just say hi and bye very often. Today we have a special guests plural, Holly and Keith Axtell, tremendous contributors to Rotary, both locally and internationally, and we will learn more about that. Hi, Holly and Keith. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are going to take this opportunity today for our club to get to know the two of you better. I've known you for quite a while, and you've always been the consummate Rotary couple. How did you meet initially?
We met at work. I had been selected by a group of the women at work to be their equal employment opportunity person to represent women in the workforce.
And I was director of administration at that time. And Holly and I met through those activities, but also through the Bay Area chapter of the American Association for Public Administration that we both belonged to. So we found we had some common interests in good management and kind of shared that at times. And it kind of led to kind of a close relationship.
And we learned that we had both spent our childhood in 4-H, which is what led me eventually to Rotary.
Interesting. Where did you grow up, Holly?
I grew up in South Florida.
Oh, where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small little community outside of Bakersfield. I grew up on a small farm.
Interesting. I love it when there is a random connection like that. I'm sure you felt the same over lunch when you realized you both were 4-H'ers. Excellent.
It was pretty amazing. We were traveling in Phoenix at that point. At that stage, I was director of our HUD's Office of Indian Programs, and Holly was the outreach coordinator and public affairs person. And we were down to a conference with some of the Indian leaders. And so we had dinner afterwards and then learned that we both were quite active in 4-H. And we both had, piles of ribbons from the Holly was in speech and I raised a lot of livestock. And it was just quite an aha experience.
It was strange when we got married. Then in the middle of San Francisco, I put my 4-H ribbons in his 4-H box.
Oh.
But Rotary appealed to me because 4-H also teaches you service.
Yes. So you went on to be district governor.
Thanks to Greg Malloy, I was his chief of staff.
Oh.
And apparently he asked me to be chief of staff because they had hoped to convince me to start applying and competing for district governor.
Oh, yes.
And Greg and Michael Fish were the big supports and the ones who pushed me.
But it's a big commitment being a district governor. It's really a 3-year process.
Yes.
Was Keith very, very supportive when you were in line to be district governor? Because that's a huge commitment, as you know.
Yeah. Keith was wonderful. He gave 1,000%. He took over all the household chores, whether things that he liked to do or not, and insisted that I stay in my office and do the Rotary email at night. So he did everything, and as well as being the district international chair that year.
Wow.
Yeah, she was really the first effective woman district governor in our district. There was a prior woman district governor, but she was also selected to be mayor of her city and didn't pay any attention to Rotary. So a lot of pressure was on Holly to do it right this time, and she did it amazingly
yes,
well.
I remember that year.
80 hours a week.
Oh, yes. It's a huge, huge commitment. But you touched on the global district grants, but aren't you the go-to guy for global grants for our district?
I am. I thought I was going to be your driver, and she advised me that she was going to set up a district grants committee that we had not had, and there were some issues in kind of the fairness of some of the allocations of funds. So she asked me to be the first chair of the district grants committee, and we organized a group of good people, including Bill McDill from this Rotary Club. I'm helping clubs now with projects that are using Rotary Foundation funds in the Global Grant Program. These are larger international service projects. But what Holly was talking about was when she became district governor, we had learned that because I was working with the international projects even while she was in the chain working up for her district governor year, that there were some decisions made on funding in the district that were not really according to the four-way test.
Didn't make the clubs happy.
Yeah. So Holly formed a district grants committee to be an objective group to decide how the funds should be used. And she asked me to basically set that up and be the first chair. So that was the beginning of the district grants committee that has been ongoing since then and manages the Rotary Foundation grant funds for our district.
And Keith has been the specialist in global grants. Our district is, compared to many of them, unique in the fact that Keith has a cadre. He coaches clubs that want to do global grants. So as a result, we get a lot of our grants approved. They're very complicated, and many districts just don't even use their money because they can't get their grants approved.
That's right. They can't figure out how the process.
Right.
So I understand that you have a YouTube video that we will share with our audience the link that if a club member wants to initiate a global grant, they can get a tutorial from the YouTube.
That's correct. Every year I organize training for the clubs in our district on the Global Grant Program. And during COVID, it was on Zoom, but the last session was live. And we have that on YouTube so that people can watch it. Or we may be also doing a new training session this fall on the Global Grant Program.
So Rotarians can attend that.
Yes.
And Keith has not only helped the clubs in our district, but he also has helped clubs in other countries to get their global grants done correctly so they stand a chance anyway of getting approved.
Yes. It's a very tricky process, and when you understand it, you get to see how the wheels of Rotary really work. But it is very tricky.
It's a good program, though. It's amazing what you can do to help people really change their lives through this program.
So, Keith, when you were president of your evening club, Marin Evening, I believe, what did you do or initiate that you're most proud of here in the county?
Well, you know, Marty, I had a good year as president, but the thing that I'm really most proud of is a program I started, I think it was probably a year or two after I was president, which was sending very low-income kids here from Marin to summer camp. The County Board of Education has a program at Walker Creek Ranch, or did at that time, for a 5-day live-in camp for kids out in the country on a farmer ranch, and people had to pay to go. And our club had just had a fundraiser, so I initiated a project to try to send a couple of kids from our club to the camp. But one of our members said, well, why don't you call the Community Foundation? Maybe they'll match our 2 and we can send 4 kids to camp. So I did, and they hemmed and hawed and said, well, we'll think about it, get back to you. And it took about a month, but then they called and said, well, we'd like to support your idea, but we'd like to send 30 kids to camp. And if you'll go out to the other Rotary clubs and get some more support, we'll match whatever you can raise in the way of support. So I did that, and the clubs were very supportive and cooperative. They wanted to send kids from the canal and from Marin City and from Novato, who really never got out of their neighborhoods to have this kind of wonderful experience. And so that first year, with the club support, including the Novato Club, we sent 48 kids to camp.
And it was hard for clubs to say no to him because he just had ankle surgery, and I would drive him to the club board meetings, and he'd come in on his crutches. He was not very good on crutches. So I think they felt if Keith cared enough to stagger in with those crutches, they were going to support kids to camp. It went on a long time, too, didn't it, hon?
Yes, it went on for several years, and until the board changed the program to a day camp rather than a live-in camp. And we sent around 300 kids out of these poor communities to that camp, and they were just life-changing experiences for those kids. I'm very, very proud of that.
They'd never seen a deer. They'd never been swimming. They'd never been in a canoe. So it was really important.
Yeah.
That is really something, and a very, very good example of doing something so much greater with the help of all the clubs that each club could not do individually.
Exactly.
So I love our district, and I love that you guys are in our club, and we're way better off for all that.
Thank you, Marty. You're very kind.
Very much. And Holly, do you have a Rotary moment? A moment.
A moment.
Yes.
A moment. Well, obviously, I have lots of things in Rotary, but probably seeing the impact that the microcredit programs have done in other countries, things that I get to enjoy, but Keith does all the hard work, all the applying for the grants. We have taken a number of people with us, including several from the Novato Rotary, to different trips we took to Ecuador. I don't know that anybody came to Columbia with. Yes, of course. Well, Columbia was organized on behalf of the Novato Club.
And Chuck and Veronica.
And Payan and Roland came with us. That's right. So that was the Columbia trip. And we had a bunch of Rotarians go with us to several different trips in Ecuador. And it really was heart-touching to meet some of the women who had been helped by the small grants and who had a very positive outlook on life now, that they felt they had done this on their own. They built this little business, maybe was selling snacks in their little house, but now they were business women. So I think for me, that was the Rotary moment.
Well, I had a fun little Rotary moment when I was traveling in Europe one year, and I'm walking out of a hotel on the Venice Canal, and someone says, "Hi, Marty." And I turned around, and it was Holly. I could not believe it. I was sure it was going to be someone who looked a lot like you. But it wasn't
there we were.
you.
It's always nice to see a friendly face, another Rotarian from home.
Right. You better. I've known you for several years, several years, and there's a whole lot more to you than I thought. So I just want to thank my audience for tuning in, and you may be next.